Yes, as we have stopped yesterday with the chapter number 8, let's see what is there with the chapter number 9 and what's important from chapter number 9, financial management. From the section A, we'll get one question for 1 mark, and section B, you will get one question for 2 mark, and section C, you will get 2 questions from this chapter for 8 mark. So we should be very cautious about in this chapter, especially with the 4 mark questions, guys. Let's go with the POQ first. As a financial consultant, give the list of any 10 factors which affect the choice of capital structure. While you're choosing your capital structure for your own company, what are the factors you need to consider over here? Maybe a tax, or maybe a interest coverage ratio, or DCIR, or maybe a regulatory framework of the organization for your stock market or for your stocks. And apart from this, control, how flexible you are, all these would be considered as the factors which you're really considering in this capital structure while you're choosing it. Capital structure in the sense, it's a portfolio. How are you going to raise fund for your business, either through owner's fund or through a borrower's fund? While you're going through this owner's fund or a borrower's fund, what factors we need to consider? As I mentioned, you have to write any 10 of the capital structure factors. There are some 14 structures, 14 factors mentioned in capital structure. So you have to take any of the 10 which you feel comfortable. So we'll see what are the 4 mark questions in this chapter. Important questions. Explain any 4 factors affecting financing decisions. While you're taking up the financing decisions, what factors you should choose? Any 4 you can write it, or maybe, for example, cost, flotation cost, or maybe cash flow position of the company. All these would be your factors affecting financing decision. While you're taking up the decision with respect to finance, you have to consider, if I'm going to raise a loan, what would be the floating cost, what the cost will be incurred on that particular fund while I'm raising it. This needs to be, and also cash flow position of the company. Next, explain any 4 factors affecting dividend decision. Dividend means is a portion of the profit which will be given to the shareholders, that we call it as a dividend. While we're taking up that dividend decision, what factors we need to consider? Maybe what would be the earnings of the company and stability of the earnings, how we are stable. Every year we are getting some regular income, like regular profit for our organization, or it's a fluctuating, that you need to consider. Stability of earning. Apart from that, stable dividend. Are we paying stable dividend for our stockholders or our investors? That you need to consider. Next, what is capital budgeting decision? Capital budgeting decision would be our long-term decision, which you cannot be reversible. Understood? So always we have to consider this capital while we are taking up the capital budgeting decision. We should be very, very careful, because once we made a mistake with this, we cannot reverse such things. It's a huge amount you are going to invest it over there. So that you have to consider. Many factors will affect over here. What amount you are going to invest it on a asset, or maybe what you're going to buy for this business. All these will be matters. Explain with any 4 points the importance of financial planning. While you make a plan of your finance, what points of how it would be important to increase the efficiency, or we should not waste any of the resources over here. That is very, very important in the organization. Explain any 4 factors affecting the fixed capital requirement. As we all know, fund requirement for business, one is working capital requirement, the other one is fixed capital requirement. What factors will affect with these two? Some of the common points are there, I'll tell you guys, but while you're explaining, you should be very cautious with this. Maybe we'll take an example of, factors which affect fixed capital and as well as working capital. We can take it as a size of the company, a nature of business, or maybe upgradation of technology. And apart from that, how much you are going to invest it on your day-to-day business. The working capital, seasonal factor, how we are doing business. Are we chosen a product called a seasonal, or maybe the continuously we are running, maybe for example, you see, while we are producing the television or some of the electronic gadgets, it's not a seasonal. At the same time, if you have a woolen industry or maybe a cool drinks, definitely it will be running very few months in a year, and by the time we'll get a lot of demand from the customers. So have to consider those two. So these are all the factors which affect the fixed capital and as well as working capital. These are all the 6 questions which are very important from this chapter for 4 mark. So out of these questions, you can expect any 2 from here. Next one, we'll move on to chapter number 10, financial markets. See, in this chapter, we are getting 15 mark questions. So here, 1 mark 1 question, 2 mark 1 question, and 4 mark 1, and 8 mark 1. What POQ will be given over here? As a promoter of a company, you're promoting a company. How would you going to raise a capital through primary market? Primary market is a market where directly investors are buying shares from the companies. Primary market is a new market. So what are the various methods of floating name issues? How are you going to issue the shares to the public? One thing, you can issue shares. You can issue to public through prospectus. Prospectus is an invitation to the public, general public. So one, you can go through an invitation. This is a prospectus. Second, you can go through EIPOs or rights issue or say offer through sale. These are all the primary market floating methods where you can raise your fund. So if only 5 are there in your textbook, you have to write all those 5 without fail. So then you will get your 5 marks here. Next, we'll see what are the questions from this chapter. Only I'll go through 4 mark and 8 mark. 1 mark, 2 mark, it will be covered up with what would be the sensitivity index of your stock market, that is Sensex. Apart from that, when that stock exchange has been established or maybe recognized, the years have been given in the textbook 1990. You have to go through all these things, guys. So I'll just discuss about 4 mark and 8 mark over here. Briefly explain the functions of financial market. A financial market has a lot of functions. Financial market is a market where you can mobilize the fund. You are channelizing your fund through all the various financial instruments, as we all know. That you have to explain over here. And then any 4 methods of floating name issues in the primary market. Just a question which is repeated in, I have already told you in the POQ. Floating name issues, as we all know, offer through prospectus, rights issue, or maybe EIPOs and all the 4 you have to explain it. Next, any 4 advantages of electronic trading system in stock exchange. See, as we all know, in our stock exchange, we are running through electronic trading system. As we all know, nothing can be done through a manual over there. Everything done through electronic, or maybe everything done through computer terminals over there. So with this electronic trading system, we can get the operation efficiency and also efficiency of passing on messages or information to the investors, and maybe it's a very short time we can do our buying and selling of shares and debentures. These are all the advantages we'll get out of electronic trading system, and it is very transparent. Anybody can see from anywhere. You can sit in foreign country and you can buy the shares and debentures of Indian stock markets. These are all the advantages we are getting out of electronic trading system. Next, there's a difference between a primary market and secondary market. They're asking, as we all know, primary market is a new market, secondary market is the existing one. Primary market, where the companies are directly selling, though issuing shares to the investors. Secondary market is just liquidity for one shareholder to other shareholders. Apart from that, this primary market doesn't have any proper geographical area. Secondary market, definitely you have to deal with the share market or stock market, we call it as. These are the some differences between primary market and secondary market. Next, we'll move on to the next question of your 4 mark. Objectives of Securities Exchange Board of India. What would be the main objectives? As I already mentioned with your advantages of electronic trading system. SEBI has a lot of objectives. Securities Exchange Board of India, that full form is acronym for SEBI would be Securities and Exchange Board of India. It has some lot of objectives over here. Why they have established the SEBI means the main objective is given a protection to our investors. This is the main thing. Previously, they were doing a lot of cheating with auction and all those stuffs in the stock markets, where it was happening through everything has a manual. So to come out from such things, to give the protection to our investors, the SEBI has been established. That's the main objective of your SEBI, and it should be very transparent. These are the main objectives. Next, explain any 4 money market instruments. See guys, this is your 8-mark question. Money market instruments. In textbook, you have 5 instruments that you have to study any 4 out of those 5. Maybe your treasury bills. Those are all your money market means short-term instruments. Maybe certificate of deposits, commercial bills or commercial paper, and then your what is a treasury bill. These are all you have to explain for 2 marks each. Then you will get your 4. If you explain 4, you will get your 8 marks. Next would be, what is stock exchange? Stock exchange is a platform where it helps you to exchange or sell your shares and debentures or any of the financial instruments one person to other person. That's a stock exchange. What will be the functions of stock exchange? As we all know, it spreads cult, equity cult, or maybe it mobilizes, it channelizes the fund to everybody, and then it will help us to. In the stock exchange, it gives you where we have to invest, and it also helps us to pricing of the stock. Many more functions it will be doing. Next thing, briefly explain the steps in the screen-based trading and settlement procedure in stock exchange, along with the demat system works. Next question. Both would be quite similar steps are there with both the questions. The answer would be quite similar. You just go through both the answer and you write it out. As we all know how these things will work out. First thing, you have to you have to go and find a depository. Depository is a person. It's either it would be a bank or institutional investors where you will be, and then you have to open your demat account. Demat account is as simple as your bank account. In the bank account, what you guys are going to do? Either you will deposit your money or you are going to withdraw money from the bank. Here, there are explain the steps in the screen-based trading and settlement procedure and stock exchange. And next question is, how does the demat system works? If you go through answer for these 2 questions, it looks the same. You have to explain the same procedure over here. So I'll just summarize over here. First thing, you have to find your depository participant. Then you have to open your demat account. Demat account, as you're aware of your bank account, right, where you're going to deposit your cash, or maybe whenever you require the cash, you are going to withdraw from that. The same way dematerialization account or demat account will work. Here you are going to deposit your shares and debentures in an electronic format. So that is what your demat account is all about. So you have to open your demat account. While you're opening your demat account, you have to give all the details. You have to provide maybe your qualification details or maybe your date of birth, or maybe your name, and many more details they'll ask you that you have to provide. You will open your demat account. Once you open your demat account, then you have to register. You have to register with your registered brokers in the stock market. Once you're registered, you can send the request to your stock brokers. Once you send the request, they will confirm with you that order confirmation. This is what the shares and debentures you look forward, or maybe this is what your price you are looking for. These are all available. Once you give confirmation that I am going to buy this, they are going to buy through a terminal. Once they have buy it, they are going to settle the things over there. That's what screen based. They're going to settle the shares and debentures through screen based. How will you work out? T plus 2 days, we call it as. T plus 2 means trading plus 2 days. When you are going to start trade, if you're going to start trade today, next day will be called out as pay-in day. Pay-in day means once confirmation done, you have to surrender your shares to the stockbroker, and the other party has to pay the money. That is pay-in. Payout means the stockbrokers from both the parties are going to exchange the things. Seller side, the person is going to credit the shares to the buyer's broker. Buyer brokers has to pay the money to the seller's broker. And then within 24 hours, I have to settle down to the respective parties. This is what the overall trading system, or maybe how transaction will work, or how demat system will work. So both the questions you sit and study, and you can summarize the things in well manner. So you will get your 8 marks over there. Last one would be explain the functions of a SEBI. We have 3 different kind of functions over here. One regulatory function, the other one protective function, the other one is development function. No matter that you have to write down all 3, it's not like that. If you know all the 7 from regulatory, you can write it down along with one development, the other one is protective. Otherwise, you will club together with all 3 kind of functions. Even that is fine with it. Any 8 functions you should do it. You have to write it out. So with this, we have done with your chapter number 10. Let's move on to chapter number 11, this marketing. Marketing chapter, which is the easiest one and where you can score your good mark. Chapter number 11, which gives your 21 marks in your question paper. 1 mark 1 question, 2 mark 2 questions, 4 mark 2 questions, and 8 mark 1 questions. So you can't neglect this chapter at all. And even you can write by your own. Still, you are able to score some marks over here. We'll see what POQ will come from this chapter. As a marketing manager, suggest any 5 sales promotion activities to boost up the sales. To increase your sales, what are the sales promotion activities you will do as a marketing manager? This is what your question. If you're a marketing manager, what are the things you can do? You will give a rebate. Rebate means what? A special price for the product. Maybe discount. Discount means whatever the listed price will be there or lesser than that. Apart from that, you can give some quantity gift. You all will be seeing it, right? Buy 25% extra with this, or maybe 30% extra with this product. That's a quantity gift. And then you will get a combo offer. Combo offer, as we all know, if you buy a sugar, you will get a kind of a coffee powder or something. Some beverages will be free. Or if you're going to buy a rice, you will get a sugar free or something like that. That's what you call it as a quantity gift. Product combo, we'll call it as 0% finance. If you are going to buy a product, no need of paying any interest for this. 0% finance will give you. So these are all a kind of a promotional activities, we call it as. So any 5 you can write it down, you will get your 5 marks. Next, we'll see what are the important questions from this chapter. As I already mentioned, 2 questions from 4 mark section and 8 mark 1 question, 2 mark 2 questions, which is very, very important. Discuss briefly any 4 differences between selling and marketing. Selling and marketing, as we all know, both are not same. Really, it's not same, guys. Selling is just a part of marketing. That's what marketing is, a vast concept. So we need to understand in detail, and we have to give any 4 differences over here. Next, explain the elements of marketing mix. There are 4 mix are there with the marketing that we also known as 4 P's of marketing: the price, product, place, and promotion. All these are very, very important to do marketing activities. Next, state any 4 features of specialty product. A product itself, the name itself tells you that specialty product. Specialty products, you won't get n number of buyers for that. You won't. That is a specialty. Features of that specialty product. It will be very particular place you will get it, and there's no much consumer for this. A number of consumers will be very less. These are all the features of your specialty product. Briefly explain any 4 characteristics of industrial products. As we all know, industrial products, very less number of sellers will be there, and industrial products will be buy from very less number of consumers, because these are all for a factory purpose or maybe production purpose and all. Those raw materials we definitely are not going to buy in bulk or something like that, or many number of people won't be there for that. State any 4 considerations to be kept in mind while choosing a brand name. When we're choosing a brand name, what should be there in our mind? First thing would be, it should be easy to spell, or it should be easy to pronounce, or which should have a better meaning, and it should be a stay in a longer period with a particular, people's mind. These are all the main things which you have to keep it in your mind while you're choosing your brand name. And it is also something called a status for the people. So always you have to choose such a name. How we'll be called out as a Jaguar or something like that, which will be there for a longer period, right? So that's what. Next, how does packaging acquire significance in the marketing of goods? As we all know, packaging is not only to attract the people. It's a primary packaging says that it's a protection for the product. What we are going to buy, it's a protection. So that's what, how it will be, how it is important. It gives a protection for the product, and also product identification will be very easy. As we all see some of the product package, we'll get to know what product it is. So that's what, which is very, very important. Packaging plays a main role or important role in the marketing. Next, any 4 functions performed by a label. Label is something which will give you more information about a product. As we all see, packaging which gives the protection. Label is something called information which will be printed on that pack. So label will gives you a lot of information, and it also helps you how to use the product, and it talks about the quality of the product, menu and ingredients of what has been used with this product, many more things. Next, briefly explain any four objections against advertising. See, we all will be watching that advertising, right? We have a lot of objections about advertising. Some of very bad taste advertisers, or maybe some inferiority products will be selling out over there. Many more things are there. Those all will be considered as objections. Next, any four functions performed by public relations department of an organization. See, public relation is very very important with the marketing. When you have a better relationship with the customers, you can stable they can stay with you for a longer period. You can retain the customers for a longer period. Public relationship is very very important in the marketing. Let's see what are the 8 mark questions are there with your marketing chapter. Explain any 8 functions of marketing, which is very very important, guys. This and last question, differences between advertising and selling. You can expect either one of this. Most of the time repetitive question. All the people, whenever they'll be choosing any easy question from this chapter, definitely they'll go with the first and last question. 8 functions of marketing, as we all know: gathering and analyzing the information, product planning, designing development of the product, or maybe packaging, labeling, pricing, after sale service, what are all other services we can give once we sold the product. So all these would be, you have to explain over here. These are all the 8 functions of marketing. Next, we'll move on to branding. As I already said, that branding is kind of symbol or a name or a color or maybe a design of the product. All these would be considered your branding. A lot of advantages are there for marketers as well as for the customers. Mainly, we can identify the product easily with the name of branding. It's a status for the customers. Many more. You have to explain in detail about advantages, how it is advantageous to customers, and also how it is advantageous to marketers. Next, we move on to pricing. Pricing very definitely plays an important role. Definitely yes. Why? Because when I'm giving you a substitute product for a lesser price, obviously people will come and buy my product rather than what they really want, because people are more attracting towards a lesser price, as we all know. So while you're choosing the price determination, or maybe while you're fixing the price for your product, you have to consider your competitors' pricing and maybe what substitute products are available for your own product. Many more things. You have to be very very careful while you're writing price determination. There are some points which is mentioned over there in your textbook as factors. You have to explain competitors' pricing. You have to consider. Next, explain the advantages and limitations of advertising. We have many advantages and limitations for with respect to our advertising. Advantages, we can get to know about the new products, what they have been launched in the market, or maybe how it is useful, or what kind of substitute products we are getting out. All those would be considered as advantages of advertising. Limitations, as I already said, that objections, that would be our bad taste products, will be our inferiority quality products should be sell in the market. These would be limitations of advertising. The last question, which is very very important, as I already mentioned, difference between advertising and personal selling. Advertising is totally impersonal. Personal selling is very much personal. Advertising is quite less cost. It's not advertising is costly. Personal selling is not so costly. But when it comes to a per head cost, advertising will be very less for a per head cost. Will given to our customers on customers' head. Personal selling, it will be too high. These are all some of the differences between your advertising and personal selling. So first and last question, 8 functions of marketing, and as well as your differences between advertising and personal selling are very very important. And if they goes with some of the moderate level, they'll choose this pricing concept. So next, we'll move on to the last chapter, or chapter number 12, consumer protection. We have understood with our second PUC many things. First, we have understood management, overall management, how we can do, and what are the principles we need to follow, what environment we are, business environment, how external forces will affect our business. All this, once we understood, internally, what functions we have to manage: planning, organizing, staffing, directing, and controlling, which is related to your management or maybe human resource. So next, we have understood how we can accommodate the finance to our business, where we can raise, how we can raise our fund, long term or short term. While we are going through long term, what option we have to choose. Either it would be a owner's fund or a borrower's fund. So we have come across with your chapter number 9, financial management. Then we have understood from investors, the household people, where they can invest their money, where they can double their money, where they can grow. So there we have understood our financial instruments, our markets, financial markets, and we have got a lot of ideas over there. Once we understood finance, a market is very, very important. If you start producing something, if you start managing something, you have to sell it in the market, right? So we have understood completely the marketing as well. Now we are into consumer protection. See, if the consumer forum is not there, we are not giving right protection to our consumers. Obviously, the manufacturers or producers will obviously cheat our consumers. So to protect them, we have to understand what exactly the consumer protection is all about. So from this chapter, we'll get only 9 marks, guys. So 1 mark, 1 question, 2 mark, 1 question, and 4 mark, 1 question. So I'll tell you what are the important questions from this chapter. Before that, let's see what would be the POQ. Here, you have to write a complaint letter. You just assume that you are an exploited consumer. Means that you have cheated with some product. Product is not working fine. We'll take an example of your two-wheeler or maybe a mobile or something you have bought last week. So it's not working fine now. So what you will do? Last week only it's not working fine, that you have visited thrice of your showroom, but the person is not giving you any proper reply for you, or he's not even giving proper services for you. So now what's the next? You have to go and give a complaint. So way to give, you have to give it for your consumer forum, district consumer forum. You have to approach and you have to write a letter for the registrar. So how you will write? It's a professional one. Date, place, you have to write on the left hand side. Again, everything should be on the left hand side. Next, you will write from your from address and then to address to the registrar, consumer forum, district consumer forum, Bangalore, you can mention. And in subject, you have respected Madam Asir, and then subject, you have to mention that I have bought a mobile or maybe a two-wheeler last week. It's not working fine. Then you have to write down when you have bought, what model it is. That's for first para, you have to mention when did you buy that product, from where you have bought, what would be the model number. Second para, you mentioned that what problem you are facing with that particular product. Brake is not working fine, or maybe engine is troubling you, or whatever it is. Third para, you mentioned that I have visited that showroom twice or thrice, but I'm not getting any response. Fourth para, you have to mention that I'm look forward response from your maybe what is it, compensation, anything they have to give, maybe replacement or maybe repay the money, anything is fine. You can mention that. Next, you have to attach all the documents which has been given with it. Maybe your cash memo is very important. That you have to mention, enclosed with cash memo or maybe RC book of your vehicle, or maybe warranty slip for something that you have to mention. Then you have to write it on yours. Then you wind up this letter. This is what, if you have written this letter, you will get your 5 marks. I think you have covered up with your English language, that complaint letter and all. So what is it? You can follow with the same procedure and write it down to the address to the registrar of your consumer forum. So let's see what are the important questions from consumer protection. Explain any 4 rights of consumers. This is very repetitive and very important question from this chapter, guys. We have 6 rights over here: right to be heard, right to be informed, right to safety, or right to choose. So every consumer has its own right to do all this. So that you have to explain. Next, any 4 responsibilities of the consumer while purchasing, using, and consuming goods and service. You should check it out of the quality of the product, or it shouldn't be inferiority, right? You have to check it out. Even though it's a seller behavior, but still you have to, as a consumer, we have to check for some of our responsibilities. Next, explain any 4 ways in which the objective of consumer protection can be achieved. Any 4 ways consumer protection can be achieved. Yes, you can protect, consumer can protect it by some of the objectives without selling inferiority of the product, without selling for a higher price and all those stuffs. And next, state any 4 directions which can be issued by the consumer court to the opposite party. What they can say? They can say to the party, you can repay that money to the respective consumer, or maybe replace the goods, or maybe some compensation you have to pay. These are all the consumer court can tell the opposite party to give some kind of direction for, I mean, give some compensation to the party. Last one, state any four functions of consumer organization and NGOs for the protection and promotion of consumer interest. What these NGOs are doing it over here, they will be keep giving some awareness program for the consumers, what to buy, what not to buy, how if any overpricing is happening, they will definitely they'll be keep on doing some kind of awareness programs from the NGO side. So some of the NGOs also mentioned over there who will work towards the consumers. So those functions you have to explain, guys. This is with respect to your chapter number 12, consumer protection. From this chapter, 1 mark, 2 mark, there are some questions they'll ask you guys. Sometimes right, they'll ask you for 2 marks to state. You just mention it, no need of explaining. 1 mark, state anyone legal protection for our consumer. Consumer Protection Act 1986, you can write it down. Yes, there are so many things which given in your textbook. Weightage or packaging, many things are given that you have to mention. Otherwise, you will get a question like, who can be complained? A consumer, maybe state government or maybe a central government or maybe some of the organization on behalf of some consumers, they can do it. So who can be complained? So that you can mention, or you will get a 2 mark question. What do you mean by consumer protection? Or maybe these are the important questions for 1 mark and 2 mark. So let's see. Once we're done with this, all these 12 chapters, I know this very difficult to study all the chapters. The people who have struggled to pass the exam. So for those people, we have some. Yes, we have come across with all the 12 chapters and we have understood what is important from all those chapters, what questions we have to study for our 4 mark and 8 mark. So now I know that it's very difficult to study all those chapters for all 4 mark and 8 mark question and answers. For that, we have a logical study over here. You can plan like this. You study chapter number 1 and chapter number 11. 11 is a marketing chapter. Chapter number 1, nature and significance of management. If you know all the answers from chapter number 1 and 11 along with all POQs, you will be able to pass your exam, which easily you can sweep it. You can pass your exam very easily. 45 marks you can score. See, chapter number 1, 15 marks. Chapter number 11, 21 marks. So altogether it would be 36, and along with that 10 marks POQ. 46 marks you can score over here. I tell you guys, in the POQ, as we all know, there are 12 chapters we have. 4 POQs will be given in your question paper. How they are going to give you? From first 3 chapters, 1 POQ. For second 3 chapters, second POQ. If you know first 6 POQs, you are able to write. But you should know you should have enough confidence that I will never do any mistake with those 6 POQs. Still, you are able to attend 2 POQs over there. Again, third section, that would be chapter number 7, 8, and 9. 1 more POQ will come in your paper. And then chapter number 10, 11, 12, 1 POQ. So out of these chapters, you will get any 4 POQs, you have to write it down, any 2 out of those 4. So easily you can pass this exam with studying only chapter number 1 and 11 along with all the POQs. POQs also have given you a logic how you have to do it. First 3 and second 3. Till chapter number 6, if you know all the POQs without any mistake, you will score your 10 marks over there. So it's an easy way how you are able to crack your exam at the last minute. How you can prepare for your exam at the last minute. So let's see. Target 1, as we all understood, you have to study chapter number 1 and chapter number 11 marketing. Along with all the POQs, you are able to score your 35 marks over there. I mean 45 you can score easily. When it comes to target 2, you have to study 3, 7 and 8. Chapter number 3, business environment. 7, it would be directing, and 8, controlling. If you add these 3 chapters along with your target 1, you are able to score your 80 marks, guys. Target 2, you are able to score 65 to 80. Aram se you can score over here along with the target 1. So most of the students will lie in this bracket, 60 to 80%. Definitely you can score only with the chapter number 1, 11, 3, 7, 8 along with POQs. You're definitely able to score your 80 marks. Next, we'll move on to target 3. Target 3 is for the students who wish to score out of out. or maybe who are looking for a distinction, definitely they have to study all the chapters from the textbook. Maybe what we have, all the 12 chapters, you have to study all. As we all know, if you're going to study these many chapters, your centum will be 100% on your hand. Why? Because in especially with this year, you are getting question paper for 185 marks, out of which you have to write only for 100 marks. So almost 50% extra questions will be there in your question paper. So easily you can choose what you like. You may not be no need of touching your difficulty level questions. Still you are able to score your distinction score this year question paper especially. So all the chapters you have to study, and I wish you all will study. With this, I hope you all understood what is important from business studies for this upcoming exam. Thank you, everybody, and I wish you a very all the best for your exams. Thank you so much.